Hi, this is Damien AtHope, and I'm an axiological atheist, which can be understood as a value theory or a value science atheist. And I'm here with guests, and today we're going to have a fun thing where we're going to talk between atheists and anarchists. So go ahead and introduce yourselves, both of you, please, and tell us who you are.
Hi, I'm Courtney. I'm an agnostic atheist and anarchist. It's nice to see y'all today.
And my name is Michael. I am an anarchist and a sun-worshipping atheist.
Right on. So, could you tell us how you came to these positions and where you came from originally?
You go, because we've kind of discussed that.
No, but I want it on this video, Courtney, so you're going to say it again.
You do?
This is
okay.
We don't know you. Who are you? What?
Okay.
So, I grew up with a Catholic family, you know, and it was one of those real just hardened, like, we're clearly just going through the motions. Like, no, I don't believe that, you know, a virgin gave birth to God incarnate in human form. But, you know, these stories are nice enough and it embeds you with some community. So it is, you know, clearly just one of those, like, fuck it, we don't believe this, but we're doing it anyways. And I don't know, because that was the enthusiasm behind it, that was the current that swept me into it. Like, I immediately called bullshit, you know. So, like, by the time I was 13, I had left the church. And then I went and did drugs in the woods as a teenager. And then that's when I learned that, like, plants and shit like that have a better
Fun
idea of what's going on than we give them credit for, you know? So, that's when I just kind of started looking at all the cracks and studying other mythologies and stuff like that. I started real hard with Greeks, Nordic mythos, even got into Hinduism. And then, you know, later in life, I found Gaelic mythology. And, like, that one's real fun because there's almost nothing there. Like, everything that was written down was pretty much destroyed during, like, the Anglicanization, the Romanization, you know, and everything in there. But, like, the stories are still very much the same. Like, the story of King David fucking slaying Goliath, the giant, with a sling stone is the Gaelic equivalent to Ulam Fada, you know, the boy king of the Mound folk that slew the giant one-eyed, fiery-eyed Baylor with a sling stone and knocked his eye into space and created the sun, you know? So
yeah,
it's one of those things where, like, I noticed that there were different versions that sequentially, like, you know, all of these stories came first. And then they were adapted by other cultures.
Right.
And I don't know, at that point, like, I started to kind of click to the idea that, all right, so in ancient religions, they were looking at the natural order. They were looking at, you know, the laws of nature. But we didn't have the abstract language that we have in science today. And so instead of looking at laws of nature, we instead humanized it because that's what we did. We made it ourselves so that we could better kind of find some kind of compatibility with it, rationalize through these governors of nature. So, yeah, and whenever you know, take some funny mushrooms or, you know, scrape off some hallucinogenic, you know, root art, you get to see those creatures. And, like, I think that they're all very real constructs of the mind, but that's as far as they go.
Yeah, it's interesting you're talking about. I do a lot of stuff on any religion older than 5,000 years.
Yeah.
Because my goal was when I first realized the same thing you're talking about, everything being false, and my wife thing was all connected, and I was like, that is an interesting idea. I wonder if it is all connected. And so I thought, well, when the hell did it start? Then, because you can't tell if it's connected until I figure out how the hell it started. I started to think, like, I knew jack shit nothing. So people know. I mean, I don't think when I first became an atheist that I could have told you what 5 Christian groups were. I mean, like say Boot, you know, Catholic, whatever. I wouldn't have been able to probably done 5 groups off the top of my head without thinking about it.
Right.
But I was a Christian, but I didn't know nothing about other religions until I went to college and had to take a class because I wanted to be a drug and alcohol counselor. So I had to take a class on religion because it said people are going to be in AA and they're going to have different interpretations of what God is. It may not be Christian God. So you need to know so that you can be ethical and not violate them, only having, in a sense, this Christian mindset with no other thinking.
Yeah.
And so I first, of course, as a Christian, like, what the bullshit fuck is this crap? You know, of course. I don't want to learn this ever. God. You know, like I didn't want to ever learn religion. Ever. I didn't. Why? It's all bull crap. And if someone asked me, yeah, well, you don't even know what it is. I would go, yeah, well, it's bull crap. How the fuck do I even know it's bull crap? I don't even know what it is. So that really changed my opinion. So I started looking back and I wanted to know when to start. And so I started realizing after I was looking and read for years, about 5 years, I started realizing, okay, this all started with animism. That, in a sense, that belief in spirits. You can see that they're like even Neanderthals buried, you know, and Homo nati might have also buried at 450,000 years ago. So the fact, in a sense, I call that pre-animism, which that's what it's called in anthropology too. But to me, in a sense, before animism, the belief in spirits, in a sense, a spirit afterlife. That's why you care about ancestors too, because they're there somewhere to do something. And so, which is still animism to me. Even when you say ancestor worship, I just hear animism. When you say I'm spiritual, non-religion, all I hear is animism. Like when you said sun worship, I hear animism, because I know that's what it really is in a sense. And animism to me, humans got it. I believe, my own opinion. And I do have some facts to kind of support that, but 3 different kind of facts that support it. But I think that Neanderthals were taught, in a sense, the pre-animism from either the Homo nati or the Homo erectus. Homo erectus from 500,000 to 300,000 was collecting little stones with human faces. They're also taking them and modifying them to look more like human faces. 2 human figures of females were created. One at 500,000 in Morocco, North Africa, and then one over there in Israel. I think it's in the Golan Heights it was found. And it can be anywhere from 300 to 800,000 years. And it's been modified. And that one, if I'm saying it right, it had something shoved in it. I think it was onyx or something almost in its chest, like a little tiny dot of onyx. Yeah, right in the center of its chest, like someone had drilled a little hole and then stuck a little tiny rock in there. What the fuck? You know, why did they do that? Tell me that doesn't mean nothing. I'm not buying it. That's not just artistic. No bullshit.
I know. Yeah, it's a long way off from just like spraying blood and axe to it.
Right. Well, actually, speaking of which, it actually was covered in red ochre. One more reason why I don't think it was just nothing. What the fuck did they do that for? First off, red ochre was, I think it's, I can't remember now. I think it's 5,000. Maybe it's 4,000. 400,000 years? Maybe it's, or 5. I can't remember now. So I'm not making a definite, but that's when the red ochre was starting to be used. I consider it part of like a red religion. In other words, if you look here at when it was used, then it's used again by the Neanderthals, then it's used by us in both, animism and totemism, sometimes in shamanism, which is really interesting. So I see personally, this is my own interpretation, but I see animism in a sense as feministic, where everything's kind of holistic. That's how I see animism seeing the world. When someone like there was hippies, and they're like, oh, the whole world's peace and love, and that's to me in a sense, it's kind of like animism. It's kind of like how animists would think. It's like I watch these animists in Africa, really fucking cool. These guys, they go out and steal food from lions. The coolest shit in the world, without weapons and without harming the lions. What the fuck?
Yeah, you just grab a leg and go.
Yes, they do. But what they do, you're right about leg. They only take a portion the lion doesn't really want, and they wait until the lion has eaten enough to it's happy, and then they approach it. Yeah. Then the lion runs away. They don't take it all, so the lion never attacks him because it knows they're really not going to take much. But then they explained it, and I was like, that is the fucking coolest shit I have ever seen. I watched them. No weapons. All they had was a shield. No weapons. And they come up real slow. They go with their feet. and they come up a little closer, and they come like a wall sort of, and then the lion just takes off. It looks at him like, ha! And then, it's funny too. The lion, just like a cat hits a food or a turd, it started like throwing dirt on it. It was hilarious. And then it took off, almost like it was saying, I'm going to let you have this, but it does piss me the fuck off.
Yeah.
But it was so funny because it reminded me of how humans interact. Like, how we're talking or interacting. And I thought, wow, if we could interact with life like that, I don't want to be an animist, but to have that type of everyone's equal, it reminds me of anarchism, really, that everything kind of should allow it to exist, sort of.
That's kind of what I wanted to talk a bit about is, kind of the main philosophy is survival of the fittest, and that there's a lot of competition. But I think when you look around, there is a lot of symbiosis. There is a lot of cooperation. I don't think that it is the prime factor that makes you dominant is to fight for it. I think we view a lot of the top predators as people who, or creatures that, use violence. And like trees are so much more impressive to me with their root systems and their lifespans and I consider that a way more developed structure than, or mushrooms and fungi, I see that as a way more developed structure than, just, maybe some of the other animals that people idolize. You know what I mean?
Could you explain it?
Yeah. Well, I think, we talk about, I gotta get this right.
Well, you don't have to get it right. I'm not requiring that. I'm just requiring you to try to explain it. That wasn't.
Yeah.
So I'm not. What's right? I mean, I'm not gonna give you a test on your words.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, I just think a lot of people, like I said, survival of the fittest. They view violence and competition as the aspects of needed to win, right? And I think there's, like I said, symbiosis and cooperation, and you can find other ways that can get you to that same point without, all the other stuff.
Did you ever see the meme of mine? I have two of them about war, about peacemaking, and I said that all-out war will never bring peace until every warrior on the other side is dead. Unless you have peacemakers. Never devalue peacemakers.
Right.
So, and just kind of going back to Neanderthals, the Shenandoah caves, where they found like one of the most well-known Neanderthal finds is Shenandoah 1, who was a crippled Neanderthal. He suffered a brain injury at an early age. He was blind. He was likely paralyzed on, one side of his body. He obviously couldn't hunt or forage or contribute to the society. Yet he lived well into his 50s, 60s.
Yeah.
And, it just shows that like he would have never made it from a child with a severe brain injury to a middle-aged man, to an old man for Neanderthals. That's
definitely.
Like 80 years old for a human being. And it's just that kind of like communal cooperation that like, hey, but it is our.
But I also know that they actually didn't cooperate as much as humans do, and that's why they did not make it.
Well, and there was
I'm just. You're correct. I wasn't discounting you. You're correct. I know what you're talking about. But I'm just saying that, and we're actually, the reason we made it and they didn't, one of the big reasons is our social cohesion. And Neanderthals always had small groups and humans always had large groups. And it's that cooperation that, it's that communal helping that actually made us more survivable. And actually, I think I really hate when people say survival of the fittest. That's not really what Darwin said.
Then the elderly would have all died.
Well, it's the survival of that who adapts. It's the adaptation. Right. It's the ability, and really, women's style of tend to befriend outbeats that flight or fight. I mean, Fight or flight to me is beneficial in like the short term. That's a good way.
In an intense situation, right?
But you can't, doing war for like 100 years, I mean, who the fuck does that? You know what I'm saying? I mean.
Right. It's not sustainable.
So, at some point, you're like, okay, uncle, either we can't be, can we work this shit out? But I think that why do we wait till the end of that shit? Why don't we, before we go to war, why don't we work this shit out so not any person dies? That's what I would like. I fucking hate war. What fucking stupid. To me, I want a war of ideas, not a war of people. Because to me, if a war of ideas, if I win, then the society wins because I want to help society. But in war of people, someone will die. All of humanity should suffer because we do in the death of people.
Right. Well, and I think that's one of the things you kind of, or at least I learned when I started researching war, because it's one of my passions. I'm anti-war, and so learning a lot about it is important to me. And, I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
Let's go ahead. I was going to ask you guys, can you explain what you are as an anarchist for the people listening? And then I will after you guys go.
Okay.
So I'm like, just Peter Kropotkin, Conquest of Bread, right? Like, I don't, personally, I guess if I had to put a label on it, anarcho-feminism, like, I think that that's intersectional enough. Whenever you take it down to its base foundation.
I am also, just so you know. I'm an anarcho-feminist. I mean, I personally, I don't see how I could do anything else. It's not that I thought people are like, oh, you're a defeated feminist. It's not like I woke up and go, you know what? I'd really like to respect women different than I do now. No, I realize that I need to. Right. Thus, I have to.
Yeah, no, exactly. And like, I mean, it doesn't make any sense to cut out, like, it's a partnership, in humanity. We're all people. We're all partners. There's 7 billion partners involved, and like, if we're going to make this a sustainable venture, i.e. life, like, then we need to work together. We need to share resources because there's going to be moments where we desperately need stuff that's, another community has plenty of. And like, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to let it go to waste? If it's a non-perishable item, are you just going to sit there and hoard it like a fucking, Tolkien dragon? Like, it's ridiculous. So, yeah, out of sheer necessity, I think that that's what drives me to be anti-capitalist, anti-authoritarian, it's all inherently damaging philosophy to someone at any point. And if at any point someone is being oppressed, then obviously that is a system that is not at all sustainable.
Or even if it could sustain, I don't think for human flourishing and universal betterment, it should sustain. We need to get that shit out.
I don't think that you can sustain oppression. No. Just look at every violent revolution. You can't sustain oppression.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I agree. But the problem is, you keep doing oppression. What happens is but people always, I agree. But the history of the world is the history of masters over the slave oppressed. So, and that just changes. That happened in you're talking about anarcho-feminism. That happened in the household. Where women or girls had a different status than boys did, a different value. I always hate when they go, I hope it's a boy. Why would you not hope it's just a good, healthy child? Like, why is there an extra value if you're a male? If somehow you don't have a clitoris, it's turned into a penis, and that makes you better? I mean, what the fuck? Because your ovaries fell down into ball sacks? I mean, what the fuck? Like, do you not realize that everyone starts out with the default set of female? Yeah, that's the default. Everything has to change to be made. You're not better. Females first. Sorry for your Bible stories, but the truth about the DNA of we all start out in a sense as a female. That's the default. It's like an X makes a female. Everybody has an X, so everybody's a female. We're a female plus if we're a male in a sense, but it's not plus as a good thing. It's a good as a fucked up thing, because when you add that crusty little tiny Y, and if you're seeing the thing, the Y is not as big as the female. It's always funny because men want to think, like, you'd think that the Y was like this huge, you know, like 5 times the size of the X or something. I mean, how men act, but you look at it, it's like, here's the X and this little fucking Y. And what's funny is that, you know, the errors happen the most in the Y, not in the X. In fact, there's more genetic, sort of like intersex or transgender or kind of issues that happen more to men. It's like intersex for men, like some sort of a gender variance, like in the society, the whole society, in America at least. I don't know about the world, so I'm just claiming America. But in America, the variance basically is that it's about 5,000, right, to 1 in a sense for a woman to have a gender variance. So every 5,000 women that are born, one of them has some sort of a gender variance. It could be very mild. It could be, you know, totally extreme. And I'm not saying extreme is bad. I'm just saying as far as different, whatever. Right. So, because I'm mildly intersex and I'm genderqueer in my mind. So I think kind of male and female, but my body is somewhat intersex, but not a lot. But anyways, so I'm not trying to put down genders. I just think it's different, you know, variations of human. It's just things happen, just like Neanderthals and Homo erectus. Everything is just, but we're not different humans in a sense. It's just we are humans. Just have different variants. Like, you know, hair color or anything else weird that can happen, you know. But anyway, so.
And just.
Oh, I was going to finish. So for men, though, it's one in every 1,000. For women, it's 1 in every 5,000. For men, it's every 1,000. The reason this is, people don't understand. So you're born with the default of woman. So the first thing that you have to get to be a male is you have anti-feminizing androgens. Then, that's not good enough. Then you have to have masculizing androgens. Then you have to have testosterone. If this does not happen in the right amount, in the right order, you get kind of female. So the people don't understand that there's a lot of people that have gender where they think they're like, oh, these transgender people. Yeah, they look like a small, because that's the people that are being honest with this, and probably safe, that can come out, because not everybody that can come out. But it's so funny how this, the reason I was trying to say is it's this nonsense that somehow a man can be different in a woman. In a sense, we all are women. In reality, in a sense, we all start off with this sort of thing. And in any ways that, since 1 in every 1,000 men are somewhat gender variant, that's a lot of our population. That's more than people that have red hair. Just to give you an idea, you know. So a lot of us that think we're men, you're not so man as you think you are.
Right. Well, I definitely think there's a spectrum, and man and woman are kind of limiting words, right? Because what is a woman? Is it your organs? Is it your interest? Is it? I mean, it's different to every person, and so I think you really have to go by individuals. And, you know, when you asked me my gender, I said, I say I'm female because I have all the parts, but I've never seen my chromosomal map, so I have no idea, you know. And, you know, there might be another Y in there that I don't know about, and it just didn't manifest in my organs, you know.
Well, so, actually, the doctor thought that I was, I did check my genetics. Because I'm an atheist. I want to fucking know. I don't want to believe. I want to fucking know.
Too, yeah.
And I had been told for like 10 years that I was probably XXY, which means I have like more female added to mine. That's why I'm kind of different. But then I got checked, and I have no chromosomal things. So I'm still intersex. That means that somehow, like I was just saying, you have to have the right amount of anti-feminizing. So if that didn't happen, then I stayed somewhat feminine to the next stage. Right. Then the next stage is supposed to masculine. If that doesn't do right, then your only hope and prayer is testosterone. And if you look at your fingers generally, if you're whatever the ring finger thing, if it's shorter than your pointer finger, then you're probably more feminine. If it's taller, then you're probably more it has to do with testosterone, I believe. I mean, once again, I'm not a doctor, so some people are more educated than me in that. But something like while you're in the womb, it's the amount of testosterone. If you, in other words, you shot testosterone in the womb, it affects how the child, develops.
Yeah, they did that with rats.
Right. So I obviously had less testosterone. Now, because I'm intersex a little bit, I think one of the other things might have had a problem also, or maybe just the lack of testosterone,
Right.
But I know there's a difference because I actually went to the doctor. Well, I even found out, it's not like I wanted to know or was told. I went to the doctor because I was so angry and aggressive, and I was feeling so sexual. I said, man, it's like I almost see a woman, I almost cry because I want to have sex so bad. I said, it's ridiculous. And then so I said, is there something I can do? Because someone had told me that they felt that way, but they had too much testosterone, and they gave him pills to lower it, and then he felt better. So I thought, well, maybe I have too much. And the doctor says, no, it's low. And I'm like, what? They go, yeah, it's real low. And I was like, well, what do you mean by real low? And he goes, well, lower than most. No, I think I said most. Lower than most women. I think that's what he said.
Oh, yeah.
And I go, okay, you did not have to fucking say that. Because I immediately felt ashamed. And that's what I think is so fucked up is I didn't know I was intersex, and then, and then I always felt kind of genderqueer. I didn't know the word for it. I always felt in the head was, I don't know. I don't relate to almost anything that men do, and I feel I can almost forget that I'm a male when I'm around a bunch of women. Because in my head, I feel very connected. So, in fact, I was in my counseling class, when I was in school, I was in this class, and the teacher, in front of everybody, right? Which I also think a teacher shouldn't have done that, because why the fuck did you do that to me? But he goes, how does it feel, Damien, to be the only male in the class? That must be hard with 30 women. And I looked back, and I looked over, and I was like, well, it kind of makes me feel self-conscious now that you said it. I said, actually, before he said it, I never felt different.
Right, before an external voice decided that was the case.
Which I think is real important about anarchism, is fucking that shit up. That quit listening to other fucking assholes tell you bullshit. I felt fine, asshole, until you fucking said I was a male and reminded me that actually I don't fit in with these 30 women, because I was feeling great. So yeah, thank you for fucking shit up.
Right.
We're the same exact species, and like fucking twins happen that are completely different alignments, and like it's all bullshit. Like we're all from the same 4 proteins, same 4 proteins code for everything in life. And if you want to throw back to like occultist belief and like the tetragrammaton, there it is. There's your fucking 4 infallible letters. Boom. GATC. Like, that's all you need.
Right on. So, can you tell us, Courtney, about your anarchism and some of the stuff that you think about it?
Yeah. Okay, so my anarchy is my goal is peace, right? It's a healthy society, it's an equal society, it is a cooperative union and it's also, it thinks about the environment, right? I think a lot of times with capitalism, it doesn't include environment in its economics. And so I think that's very important. Environment and animals and all that. So for my anarchy, I think the most important thing is to get the populace there. So for me, I think that means universal health care to get the populace healthy. I think that means spreading education as much as possible, so that your populace can govern themselves, right? I think, and then also that takes cooperation, kindness, and empathy. And so that's kind of what I push for with my anarchy is, cause I can kind of hear people say we're not ready for that. We can't do that yet. And I can understand that. But, we should definitely be working towards it, right? That's how I feel about it.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like the fact that we can't stop rape tomorrow, all rape, but of course, who the fuck would not think that we should want to? I mean, and try to tell me that it's bad that I want that, or that I'm wacky because I would like no more rape. I would also like no more war and no more fucking poor people in the streets. you know, and then rotting food, or, you know, or our suffering animals. I am not a vegan, but I certainly fucking hate the meat industry and how they fucking do things. I was a truck driver. I fucking been there. It is not cool. Just like I told the guy, this is the simplest, humanest of things to me. Like, I was there and I seen these fucking cows, right? It was during the summer. Where was I at? I think it was Oklahoma. No, not Oklahoma. Maybe it was Omaha. Can't remember. Anyways, one of those places. Doesn't matter. Anyways, but I was there and it was really freaking hot and dry, right? And these cows were like snot was draining out of their mouth and stuff, and their mouths all flooded. And I go, dude, where's their water? And he goes, oh, we don't give them water. He goes, they're going to die in about 4 hours. I go, what the fuck does that matter? Why the fuck don't they have water? Why the hell are you making them fucking suffer? I mean, that doesn't, what, they're still fucking living beings, you fucking piece of garbage.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it's
like they feel pain, right? You know?
Then he got mad because I'm not the same person. This is another time. It was cold, right? So now it's freezing. And they don't have no damn food because all the like ice, whatever, was covering all the grass. So they have no fucking food, right? And they're fucking starving. You can see that, like, and I told the guy, I said, hey, why don't you fucking put some fucking food out for them? Once again, because I don't understand if something's alive, you letting things suffer. That's just not okay to me at all.
Right.
Period.
Right.
Anything alive should not wantonly suffer. Not a bug, not anything. There's no reason we should make anything suffer. I fucking hate that.
Right. It's like suffering's not necessary.
Right. And I wanted to feed it some grass, right? So I gave him some grass, and the guy fucking tells me to stop doing that. Made me so fucking pissed off. And I'm like, they don't even see it. And I see, like, too, that they were cramming. They have this, like, scale they weigh the cows on when they come off the thing, right? So but if you get too many of the cows, of course, they move around. They're, like, mad. But they would push, like, almost to where they're, like, almost climbing on top of each other. And then, of course, they're going, and there's male bulls, right? They're fucking going nuts. And this thing will not scale because they won't relax. So what's this asshole do? Start shocking them with the fucking stick. Telling you, took all I could do not to go take that stick and start fucking shocking his ass. Fucking pissed me off. I'm like, dude, if you just if you only put half of those in there, you could scale faster, dickhead, and then nothing would have to suffer.
You don't have to do that, right?
And so that's why I'm saying I agree with you. I think that you have to understand that everything to me is a dignity being. It all has these quality that needs to be respected. And the fact that letting things suffer or doing wanton violence or war, all that is just nonsense. But can you go ahead and tell us about your ideas of society and as an anarchist?
Me?
Yes. I can't remember. What's your name? I'm sorry. What's your name again? Michael, yeah. Michael, could you go ahead and tell us because you said about peace and
it's pretty much boiled down to the simplicity that, like, if everybody collectively, right, if we got everybody collectively to just drop their bullshit and, you know, visually maintain the welfare and well-being of just their fucking neighbors and their communities, then when would you as an individual ever have to worry about yourself going without anything?
You wouldn't.
Yeah, dude, like, you've got a whole community of support behind you. And it's not like you're having to take on this Herculean effort to support the whole community. We don't need, like, Elon Musk's. We don't need, you know, fucking authoritarian.
We don't need saviors.
Yeah.
You know, like, we don't need, we're largely, it's largely embedded in us as people. Just look at, like, Black Lives Matters rallies. Like that, look at any protest, look at a black bloc, like, look at, anti-fascist protests. Like, it's all governed by instinct. You know, and maybe you're only gonna ever reach 30% of a total populace that really clicks with that ideology. But that 30% is more than the 10% that is now.
Oh, yeah. Well, I want to make one point about me personally, because you brought up Black Bloc and Antifada. I totally support them as long as they're doing non-violence. Or if they only do violence limited.
In the sense that, violence...
Well, let me say, hold on a second. So I'm saying, as long as, to me, as their violence is self-defense or other defense, I'm totally for it. That anything up to murder is necessary, then, I mean, if someone's trying to kill you, and the only thing I can do is to kill them to stop, I'm going to have to do that. I mean, to me, that's okay. I'm just saying, but sometimes, and I'm not saying there could be people infiltrating or dressing like and then doing bad behaviors, but breaking windows, keying cars, just doing, that is not, to me, something I support.
Is inherently, to a revolutionary anarchist, property damage is not inherent violence. It is not. It is not. It's smashing up a CVS.
Well, yeah, I wasn't referring it to it in violence. I'm talking about, I'm for non-aggression. To me, that is aggressive behavior that is unnecessary. That doesn't, to me, I want us to be on the side of kindness and peace. Personally, I'm just saying, I do support both those organizations, actually, because I believe in black bloc, totally. And I'm totally fine with fascia. But to me, as long as the violence is self-defense or other defense, and to me, we should have, I am an atheist for non-aggression. I'm not a pacifist, but to me, we should be something different than the fucking capitalists. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
It should be so evident that I am different, that everyone knows it in my behavior, not just in my words or my beliefs. Go ahead, sorry.
So I gotta wrap this up, and I'm taking off here in a minute.
Okay.
But so with that said, inherently the philosophy of let's say a far right wing, alt-right, Nazi type individual is inherently genocidal. And if they are to achieve a legitimate political stance, genocide will enter the realm of politics, legitimate politics in the United States. And that is obviously outrageously damaging to every fucking aspect of the society. So whenever you punch a Nazi in the mouth who's seeking political power, who's seeking legitimate position in that court, that's not violence to me. That is self-defense. Because the violence that you're negating there, the example that you're setting, is that this level of intolerance should not be tolerated.
Well, I agree, but to me, that's like saying that
is outrageously important.
Well, just think of this. So I have this person that's a rapist. I know, but just think. I have this person that's a rapist, okay? And I tell you, I'm going to let him go to prison, and I'm going to pay the other gay inmates to rape him. Am I doing something unethical? Am I?
No.
Yes.
But I'm not saying that it's...
Yes, I am. I am either different or I am not. Capitalism is only bad because of its monster mentality. I personally do not want to accept a monster mentality, because this is what I'm trying to say. So socialism, right, the idea is fucking wonderful. In operation, because what you're saying, and I'm saying, this is important to me personally, about the nonviolence. Because I'm violent as fuck, man. Trust me. But to me, we have to not do just because we want to. In other words, let's just say punching the person in the mouth. If I evaluate, what the value does that produce? Does that produce the value that I actually stand for? In other words, I could have a mind of a warrior, which I do. But if I do not also have a heart of kindness, then I have forgotten what is it I'm really fighting for. That's all I'm saying. And we need, and like I said, I support those organizations, but I do not agree with punching Nazi in the mouth. Now, if that motherfucker grabs somebody or does something, well, then fucking A, you're self-defense. Yeah. And I do believe in getting in their fucking face where they almost were enticing them. Go for it. But to me, the one, when you're sucker punching people, to me, is never going to be something that I'm cool with. Never. Period. I don't sucker punch a wife. I wouldn't sucker punch a child. I wouldn't sucker punch a friend. Right. To me, these people are monsters. They need to be, and I agree. Everywhere they go, we should be on them, like surrounding them, like stink on fucking shit. But I do not support punching them without provocation. I just don't. We have to be better. To me.
I agree with you. Yeah.
And like I said, you don't, do you realize how much, people don't realize how much I talk anarchism on online. They're always thinking I'm talking atheism or I'm just throwing my thoughts out.
Right.
I'm trying to give them the anarchism's values. But I just don't use the word anarchism. Like I'll talk about kindness and working together. And my favorite saying is we rise by helping each other. It's just my general philosophy. But that's my anarchism. And just like my anarchism is no gods, no masters, and do no harm and do good. That is my anarchism, as just said simply. And to me, I call it Anarcho-Humanism. Even though I'm definitely a socialist, anarchist, or a libertarian, socialist, whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Right.
That label doesn't really fit me. I just like to call it what fits me, and that is Anarcho-Humanism, because the anarcho part is no gods, no masters. My humanism part is what really matters, though. This protects this. No gods, no masters protects the humanism. It ain't the other way around for me. Anarchism is not better. It's the humanism I'm trying to protect. I just know that for me, the best way to get to the humanism is anarchism. There is no way better. Anarchism to me is the most humanistic idea I've ever heard. That everyone on this fucking planet has an equal value as a human. That being born white does not give you a privilege. That being born in some place where you're poor does not make you less than, does not make you trash, does not make you not have a value. You're equal. There's the bullshit about capitalism and who has money is somehow, if you have more dollars, you have more value as a human, is disgusting to me. I find it to be so freaking vile. It's like I said, to me, they're like, well, you like anarchism. I don't like anarchism. I had no fucking choice. I realize I need to be an ethical human being. Thus, I'm an anarchist.
Right.
And I always say that I'm godless because I think, I'm humanist because I feel, and I'm anarchist because shit needs to change.
Right.
So the motivation for anarchism isn't a choice. It's that I realize shit needs to change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's how, I came across it. It was really looking for solutions that would work. And for me, the solutions that work are anarchist ideas and ideas that anarchists put forward. Universal health care and, and ending the drug war and all of that comes from anarchists. And so, yeah.
Well, you talk about drug war. This is how I see it is this. Is anarchism is this weird notion that humans own themselves. So first off, so once I own myself, that means you can't decide if I do drugs. You don't even have a fucking right to decide. And in fact, you trying to impose your right as if you have a right to decide is actually a violation of my rights. You're actually doing an assault to my human sovereignty.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, to me, all drugs should be legal.
Even if I can play devil's advocate for a second, even if you are on the other side of it, where you think addicts are trash and they, drugs are only taken by people who are weaker than you and they deserve what they get because whatever, even if you think like that, legalizing and treating these people still creates a safer society for you, a safer and healthier society for you. So put aside your personal biases, because that's what they are. They're not truth. They're personal biases.
Right.
And look for the solution that ultimately helps you as well if you just get out of your own way.
I think that you and me are pretty close on how we think, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I would say definitely.
I mean, what's that?
I said it's why we're friends.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm definitely, because to me, this is the biggest thing that I've learned. That people change with kindness. Fuck, that is how I changed. That's why I'm trying to say why that digression has got to fucking stop. Because I'm telling you, the opposite, the kindness, it fucking allows people to change. I'm not saying we're going to get to the Annapolis dickhead. But there's a lot of people, you know what I mean? There's no fucking hope, but for some fucking people, because they're just they like to be fucked up. They know they're fucked up. They're psychopaths. They know they're fucked up, and they go, I'm cool with being fucked up.
It's a personal decision. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a personal decision. But you know what? And they have a right to me. They actually in the anarchist society, he has a right to be fucked up. He does not have a right to fucking be fucked up where the point that he's hurting people. And to me, he should. I don't believe in idea police, but I do believe that it's like you can't just go up to a child and say to them, I'm going to murder you tonight in your sleep, and then try to tell me that that's legal. Something should be fucked up with that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You've done, even though it's, you know what I'm saying? It's, so I think that, like if I go out, like say in Annapolis, or let's not go to him, let's just say, I don't know what his total views are, but let's just say someone goes out there and says that people are so vile, let's say, you know, feminists or something. Feminists are so terrible, so harmful to the normal society, but they should be actually, you know, executed or some bullshit.
Yeah.
Right? So if someone says that to me, that should be a crime. Do you know what I'm saying? So so I'm not saying that I'm you know against these or see these people that say genocide is good, that they should be allowed to do that in that way. But I'm just saying I don't think what we should be doing is punching them unwantonly. But we should try to stop their bullshit. That's for fucking
I think
sure.
Austin did the right response. Like Austin as a city, they canceled the white supremacist march. I think that's what people should do. I think that's the right.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think you have freedom of speech to go out there and terrorize. Like it's like ISIS coming here and say, "Oh, I have the freedom to talk about that. We should behead people." Right. No, motherfucker. I don't think you should be allowed to talk in public like that. You should go to fucking jail because that's bullshit. So I mean. I do think there's an ethical society. There is a limitation on what the fuck we can do. The thing is that people don't get that no one has 100% rights all the time. It's always, like you said, communal give and take. That's just how it's set up. Nobody, unless you're going to live out in fucking Alaska somewhere, you know, and you may be able to avoid any responsibility for what you do and who you are. But to everybody else that wants to live anywhere near a person, you're going to need to learn ethics and how you treat people. This is what I say, too. It's real important to me, is that people understand that I see morality as having several layers as an axiologist. So when people say moral, what to me they mean is their personal morals. And what I mean by that is that's the ideas, like let's just say I have virtue ethics, where I believe that it's virtuous to be ethical to everyone, you know, even those that harm you. You should try to be kind to. So that's a virtue ethic. So if I have that, though, that is not the same as what I believe the world should do. In other words, like I don't think everybody in the world should have virtue ethics. And what I mean by that is an axiologist, I always assume the opposite. Could I demand that the world has this ethics? See, that's how I test it. And in a sense, an ethical thinking. The best way to do is, could I force it? Like people say, we can't force anything. Well, I don't agree with that. If someone says that I'm going to rape children, I can force them to not do that.
Oh, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So that, fuck yes, you can force. So in other words, let's just say that, so I'm having to violate his rights, correct? Because I'm going to force him to do something. Yeah, but I'm doing it because to not do it means that he is going to be harming. So
that's even present in our laws today.
I'm not saying I'm saying anything a revolutionary idea there.
No, I know. But that's the thing. That's the thing. People ignore these constructs.
Right.
They can be applied more so than they are, even though they are greatly in place for their own well-being already. And they think that we're introducing something
exactly.
About something revolutionary. And I'm like, no. You see someone getting kidnapped, you shoot the motherfucker kidnapping them in Texas, and no grand jury would indict you.
And see, I support that because to me, like I said, once again, I position on self-defense and other defense are the only violence that I think are acceptable. Other than that, to me, we should be non-aggression. And non-aggression, by the way, does not mean about not challenging people. I've challenged you right now,
yeah.
but in a way that was, I'm trying to be respectful to you, and instead, that's what I'm saying. That's how we should interact, though. We should interact with ideas, not people.
There's a civil accord to it, yeah.
And I always say attack thinking, not people.
Yeah.
Right. And that's for me too. Like intellectual battles are so much cooler than fucking physical battles to me, you know? Like, and you both grow, you both get better mentally, and what's better than that? Like, I don't know. I don't see why people run from those discussions.
And you can do it without completely shattering someone's fucking psyche, you know? Like, yeah, maybe a bruised ego involved, but shit, that's malleable anyways, and it's only bruised because you're being so bullheaded about it, you know?
Yeah. I always appreciate people telling me when I'm actually wrong and helping me understand. I always tell people, if you're going to tell me I'm wrong, be a teacher, not an attacker.
Show me why. Show me.
Exactly, because I feel some people, they do it wrong. It's like they go, you're wrong. Okay, well, help me do it right. Don't just abuse me for being wrong.
Right, the call-out culture.
I think it's important to teach people how to think for themselves. It's not you trying to tell you, you need to think this way, you need to decide this way. It's you need to start thinking which way about what you want to do. You need to start thinking for yourself, right? That's what it's about.
And even like whenever you, just going back to like whenever you are talking to somebody who is like, you know, very far right minded, and you're trying to get them to, you know, a place that's going to be less threatening to fucking everyone else in their community. Like there is a responsibility if you want change to invite these people into a safe place. Like, regardless of what they feel about safe spaces and snowflakes and shit like that, you have to include them if you're going to kind of pursue them differently. And I think that largely a lot of folks don't have any fucking patience for that.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of the times from my own experience, you know, like you're going to find cases where it's totally not worth the time. And like, you got to find these people who have already questioned themselves. And it takes kind of points of contacts. And he's like friendly, just like, no. You don't have to fucking feel threatened by me. Like, you know, I get what you believe. I get what you understand. And I understand why you believe that.
Right.
But like,
I think that's the best thing. I always tell people, I try to present ideas and offer them as a gift that the people can then understand. And I totally agree with trying to help them understand what I'm thinking, because if I really agree with it and it's worth agreeing, if I explain it in a way, then another person should be logical, where they go, okay, that's true. Or that has some value. And just like I'm going to go back to your thing about safe spaces. I hate when people say something about someone needing a safe space. Fucking A. You don't know what people have been through. I need a fucking safe space. God damn, man, my fucking childhood was a fucking terror. And just like I watched the show, just so people understand. I mean, it's not just I'm big as fuck. I'm like 6 foot, and you know, I weigh 420. But anyways, when it comes to like the stuff, I'm totally for people feeling safe. I watched a show. I can't remember now what it was, but it was a show where these guys like basically kidnapped this woman and rape her. And they like tortured her and stuff and left her for dead. And then she I can't remember, but it bothered me so fucking bad. Oh no, I remember it was. No, I take it back. It wasn't that one. That bothered me too. But no, I was thinking it was a show called Woman in a Box. Head in a Box. Ever heard of it? Fucking ugh. So they kidnapped this girl, this couple, right? Kidnapped this girl. She's the second one. The guy killed the first girl. But this girl does not know that. But the wife does. Anyways, they're like super Christian too, just so you know. They told the chick in the Head in the Box that she needs to follow Jesus. Oh my God, it was, and they whipped her and beat her and stuff. I mean, I was like, my skin was crawling. I mean, I wanted to go out and like, just, start like, fuck. I couldn't. It fucked my PTSD so fucking bad. Then I watched this show. I was like, I mean, it really, really fucked me up. I needed a safe space. I was like, The biggest reason why people understand, it's not that I watch it and that's a show. I know that happened to a real person.
Yeah.
A real fucking human. It fucking bothers me. It's like, oh, the anguish.
Yeah.
One of the interesting things I learned through, because I get called pathetic a lot, and I cry a lot, and I get called weak because I'm sensitive, right? And one of the things I learned that blew my mind was how humans can be affected by just watching a video of something, even if it's imaginary, even if it's not to a human, even if it's not to a real human. It's a video, you know.
Yeah, I know what you mean. An avatar or something.
Right. You can be psychologically affected as if you experienced it yourself, and that doesn't. I don't think that makes you weak. I just think that makes. And I don't think you're shamed by that.
Oh, I totally. Well, I think first off, the only reason we are ashamed
is sexism bullshit society that demands that somehow men be stoic, which fucking men cry too. So what the fucking hell bullshit is that?
Right.
Just like I was saying, people only think that in male mentality of you know, fight or flight, but that's actually wrong because there's also tend and befriend, which is more prominent among women, but not invisible in men. Men do it in war. They tend to befriend war. When they feel in a mass threat, men become bonded like fuck.
Right. And you know, you hear too that people on the front line oftentimes just naturally miss because you naturally recoil from doing that to another human, even if you're in that situation, and so you're more likely to just miss. I found that very interesting.
Yeah.
It's just kind of, I really want to combat that idea that violence and aggression is natural and
healthy.
Right.
Well,
right.
It's a panic response. Like, so I double majored in criminology and human behaviors.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So
And
I've had
that's what I
degrees in
learned.
psychology and sociology,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
a little
So
bit of
that's what I
criminology
learned.
and teaching.
Yeah. So that's when I learned that crime, as we defined it, is a very natural symptom of things as just fucking living creatures. And it's one of those things where in an industrial society with severe income inequality, you're limiting folks, you're trapping folks within this realm of behaviors that they have to utilize and employ for their day-to-day survival. So
survival's the issue. That's what you. Just like the fact that it's not universal. Well, yeah, crime in the sense is not totally universal. Crime is because just think if it was universal. I always think this. Always think universal when you think. So if crime really was inherent in humans, it would be in a sense universal around the globe. All humans in a sense. If it's inherent in us, like just like I can say it's inherent that we have sex or we love. That's inherent, right? That means universally across the globe, we find people having sex and loving, right? I mean, that's what I mean. So if you want to, once again, to me, if you want to test an idea as real, just think can it apply universal? Because it just helps. I'm just saying, so to me, violence is not equal. There's different violence in the United States, different violence in China, different violence in Australia, all the countries. The violence is not equal. In fact, that shows something fucking else is going on. And that's why I think anarchism is so fucking important. It is that social fucking bullshit that, just think, that I always say, you want to test if a country has no rights, just look how it treats women. Now, a country that treats women badly, I will tell you, always ends up in torturing other fucking people. It is fucking crazy coincidence when you stop fucking protecting women's rights as equal, like the Middle East, you start doing things like thinking it's okay to rape fucking children. Thinking it's okay to rape fucking people you capture in war. Thinking it's okay you can fucking torture people. Thinking it's okay you can cut fucking people's heads off. Or hands off. It's not all Islam. It's the ones that don't fucking value. The more, you can see the level. The more women are oppressed, the more the violence is free to run. Well, that tells you that women's, or that kind of mentality, is doing something. That's why an anarchist, how the fuck can you not be a feminist? I see. If you don't, will all suffer. Every time the country that has the most oppression of women is the most supportive of fucking human torture. It's so to me, you have to help women. Fuck, we all need it. But also to me, women make up half the fucking planet. There's a resource out there that can help us change the fucking world, and it is going untapped. And that resource is fucking women. I mean, I'm not saying like fucking women, but you know what I'm saying. My wife told me, Damien, you gotta quit cursing. You curse curse too much.
But hey, can we wrap it up?
No
You've
problem.
Gotta go to work.
No problem. Well, it's been great talking to you. I appreciate your time, both of you. It was nice meeting you.
Man, I appreciate it.
Right on.
And hello to all your viewers.
Right on.
Goodbye.